So hello friends, welcome back in once again, and today lecture we will discuss about capturing values. So how we can use the capturing value in closure. So I have already created the lectures on the closures in detail and given the link in the description box. So friends, if you did not watch my previous lectures of the closure, so you can check in the description box. So in today lecture we just only discuss about capturing value. So by definition of the apple, so we can read about here the capturing values. So a closure can capture constant and variable from the surrounding context in which it is defined. The closure can then refer to and modify the value of those constant and variable from within its body, even if the original scope and define the constant and variable no longer exist. So it means that closure can capture constant and variable from the surrounding context in which it is defined. Closure can modify and refer the value from those constant and variable from within its body. So if the constant and variable original scope is not exist, but the closure can refer and modify those values of the constant and variables. So here you can read about it's also in simple form of the closure can capture value is a nested function. So here we will use the nested function, and nested function is also a simplest form of the closure. A nested function written within the body of the another function. A nested function can capture any of its outer function argument and can also capture any constant and variable defined within outer function. So friends, we will implement this example in our application, how the inner function is capture the outer side function argument. How this functionality will be work, we will check in our example. So here is the apple example is given here. So we will implement this example in our application. So I am copying this code from here and paste this code here. So here the incrementer is the inside function, and here make incrementer is the outer function. So here we are taking the two arguments, running total and amount. So amount is the argument here, and running total we are declaring it as a variable here, and here we are adding the value of running total into the amount and returning the running total from the incrementer function. And here make incrementer is the outside function, so it's the nested function is the simplest form of the closure. Incrementer is a outside function and returning a incrementer from here. So return type of this incrementer function we can check here, it's returning a function. This is the type function here. So incrementer is also returning a integer value. Suppose here is the increment in action, so we call this function from here. So we will copy and paste this code also and run the application and check what will be the result for it. So first time it will not display anything because here make incrementer function is calling and this function is just returning incrementer. So incrementer here is a function. So suppose here I am just I copy it and running first time. So we can check here increment by 10 is not in any value, it's a function, it's a whole function because make incrementer is returning a function from here. So incrementer is a function and the whole incrementer inside function is stored in the incrementer, and we are returning from make incrementer function, and we are calling this function from here and passing 10 as a argument here. For increment is a argument label and 10 is value here. So when we first time we are calling this function, so it's returning incrementer as a function and we are storing this function into the increment by 10. So when we run this application, so here increment by 10 is printing a function, not any value. Suppose here we want to value, we will add bracket here and now we run it. So we can check when we first time we are calling it here, so only this function is printing 10. So again suppose here I am printing this again, and third time, fourth time. So we will check what will be the output here. Second, third, and here is the fourth. Suppose now I run it again. So you can check here, increment by 10. When the first time it's calling, it's printing 10. When the second time we are calling it, it's printing 20, and third time it's printing 30 and 40, so on. So whenever we calling, it's every time it's increasing by 10 because we are calling the function here. It's a function. So when we are calling it, we are calling this function because this function is stored into the increment by 10. So whole function is running whenever we calling this. And here I am also printing running total, and here I am printing here running total again. So here running total inside, so it's the outside, and here is the inside. So now I run it again and check what functionality is running. All the statements is printing here. So first time when I calling this, so this outside function is calling, so means this is calling here running total outside function is calling, and running total value is equal to 0. So after this is calling increment by 10. Increment by 10 means this is calling. Second time the increment by 10 is printing, not inside. Running total inside function is not printing in the second time. The second it's printing after the this call. So here running total inside is printing at the third position, not in the second position. You can easily understand because we are storing here a function, not in value. So the second time we are calling it, so you can check that it's working like a loop. The outer function is only calling in the whole process is just a one time. Increment by 10 is only called only one time, and after that outer function is not called. So it's called just first time, and after that we store incrementer in the increment by 10, and here increment by 10 when we call this function first time, so here returning by 10 is called. So suppose here we are just printing the function, so it's for the understanding purpose. Suppose I commented it and run it, this application is again, so it will be easy for the understanding. Yeah, so you can check that running total first time is 0, and when we are calling this function, because this is a function and we are calling from here, so when we are calling this function, so the whole process is running here. So here the inside process is running. So you can check here, after storing into the value, the whole process is working. So first time when it will be called inside 10, so here the 10 value is storing into this and printing here. Second time the inside function will be calling from here. So now the second time the increment by 10. So here we are working on the concept of capturing values. So here the value 10 is capturing by incrementer function. So here running total and amount is not disappearing after ending of the this function, because when we running first time, so the value last value is stored into the running total and amount is 10. So every time when we are calling here, so the old value of the running total is added into the amount. So the old value is 10, the next time when we call it the value will be the 20, when the next time we will call it the value will be the 30, 40 and so on. So every time the running total is holding the previous value. Suppose we add here the another call. Suppose here I am adding 8, increment by 8. So what will be the output here? We will check here. So first time it will be called for the outer function, and then increment by 8 will be called. So here now I will call this function again. So you can check here, the first time when I am calling this, the running total is calling here. So outside function is called now. When we call the outside function, we call make incrementer and pass the argument here. So here we are passing the 10 as a argument, and here we are passing 8 as a argument. So make incrementer is the outer function, and we are calling second time from here. So second time when we are calling here, so running total outside function value is now 0. So increment by 8 function is called before inside function. So running total inside is equal to 8. So before this is calling. So before inside function, the make incrementer function is the outer function, and it's returning the whole function here. So this function is running before inside function. So when this function is returning, so after this we are calling this function here. Main logic of the increment is here. When the first time I am calling it, so increment by 10 is holding the whole function. When the second time I am calling here, increment by 8 is holding the whole function. And when we call this according to argument, it will increment the every time. So suppose here we are running this function second, third, and you can running this function many times you want. We just want what will the result for that. First time we will call, then the value will be the 8, and this is second, and this is third. Again I will run it. Yeah, so you can check that when the first time I am calling it, so inside function is also printing here. So first time when I'm calling it, so first time inside function is calling. So here you can check, then inside 8 is printing here, and then increment by 8 1 is printing. Then so the second time running total inside is printing, and here increment by 8 the second time is printing, third time and fourth time, third time, and so on. We can, so they are not affecting with each other because they are holding the whole functioning, because the variable increment by 10 and increment by 8 is holding the whole function. Suppose here I am printing here, suppose 5 is here. So you can expect what will be the result for it. So here I am just increment by 5 function is calling, because the whole function is store is now in the increment by 5. So here increment by 5, increment by 5 1, increment by 5 2, increment by 5 3, and now I am calling it. Yeah, so you can check that when we are calling it, the outer function will be called just one time. So after that only inside function is calling. So when we calling this, first this will be called and the function will be stored into this, just printing the function here. So first time only function will be printing, not function will be called. When we are adding here bracket, then the function will be called. The first time when the function will be called, so the inside running total will be called. So first time will be the value of the running total is equal to 0. Add 0 plus 5 is equal to 5, and we will be return from here the 5. So the 5 will be print here. So the next time 5 will be added into the previous value will be the 10, and previous value 10 will be added into the 5, the value will be 15. So they are not affecting, so we can add it multiple times, and every time they not affect with each other. So like this we can call function every time, but it will not affect with each other. So if I add here, so I am commenting this, and here I am commenting it and commenting it and commenting. So we just passing here function, and we are calling this function every time. Yeah, so you can now check first time running total outside function will be calling from here make incrementer, and increment by 10 is equal to 10, because we are calling this, because we are not calling this function from here incrementer. So it will be any name. Suppose here we can, any name we can add here. When we call this name, function will be called. Suppose here I can check name 1, name 2 and name 3. It is not affecting, so we just storing into the name 1 the whole function. So if I call name 1, so it's just a name, because in this variable we just storing the whole function. So it can be the name 2, suppose here name 2, and it's a name 3. So it's just a variable name, and we are storing in the variable a full function, so it will not affect, and the result will be the same. So I will run it again. Yeah, so here you can check increment by 10 is equal to 10, 20, 30 and 40. So it's just a name, it's a variable name we are storing here. So we are storing here whole function, and we are calling with like a function call. So it's a function call, it's not a variable we are printing here. So it's name 1, name 2 and name 3 is three functions we are storing into it with a different argument, and we are passing here 10, 8 and 9, and we can call it like this also. If we store, suppose here name 4 is equal to name 3. So and now I am printing here name 4, so you can expect what will the result for it. So I think it's the result will be exact the incremental result, because the last result of increment by 5 3 is 15. So the what will be the result for it? So you can check the result of it will be the 20, because name 3 previous running total is 15, so it will be continue from the 15. So here will be the 20. So you can store it like that multiple times, so it will be not affect anything for it. Suppose you can here 5, and so here you can expect what will be the result. So I think result will be the 25. So it's working according to our expectation. So like this you can check capturing value in the closure. So in the next lecture we will discuss about capturing list. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching.